Well, there comes a certain point where you really just have to be like, fuck it, and just go ahead and do whatever you're really dreading. And I think that time is now for me. So I'm just gonna have to start talking about the difficult things and being honest. And yesterday actually marked 5 weeks for me of intensive eating disorder treatment. I entered a partial hospitalization program for eating disorder treatment, and it has been really difficult. The hardest thing I've done in my life, I'd say probably without a doubt. I wouldn't say probably, I'd say definitely, because it has been, and that is for certain. I also realized while I was editing that I wasn't super clear about this. So this wasn't really my decision. Some of the doctors at USATF and my coach Danny and some of the individuals at Brooks Corporate felt that this needed to happen. So I was pretty much told, do this or you get dropped. So I didn't decide really to do this. I mean, I did, but it wasn't much of a choice. But I do want to say that I'm super thankful to Brooks and USATF for being so supportive through this process and even helping to cover some of the financial strain. So that's obviously huge. So appreciate it. I have been really hesitant to share this because I didn't feel ready to say anything, because I still, I guess, wasn't entirely accepting of it myself. I was in a bit of denial, and also thinking like, okay, I'll show up, boom, 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 couple weeks, we'll be out of here. And that's not the case. That's not really how eating disorder recovery works generally, although everyone has a different journey. But it sucks. I hate it. But I am glad I'm here, I guess. But I also was struggling to share this because I feel a lot of shame about being here. And that is multifaceted in that I feel shame just because I couldn't do this on my own, and that's upsetting to me because there are so many areas of my life where I feel really capable, and then there's this super basic human function, like literally everyone has to do it just to stay alive, and that's eating, and I can't even do that properly. And I am so frustrated with myself for that and feel so ashamed that like I need to be in this center 10 hours a day to make sure that I can eat enough. Like, I realize how extra that sounds, and it's frustrating to me because I've never felt like I needed to be taken care of. Like, I've been a very independent person my whole life, and so this is frustrating to the nth degree. But I'm also ashamed because I feel like I've just been a terrible example for anyone in the running community that even follows me or has interacted with me, and I feel a lot of guilt and shame about that as well, because I hate that I have contributed to the toxic culture of an obsession with leanness and thinness and body size and appearance over ability, and I am just so frustrated with myself because I want to be a good example, and I don't want the next generation to feel the way that I feel. And I don't want people to have the same issues, but I'm contributing to a culture that created this problem for me, and that is the worst thing about this, because I don't want this for anyone, and I'm part of the problem. So I also want to take a little bit of time here and just apologize to anyone that I've interacted with on social media or in person that I have triggered in any way or contributed to disordered thoughts or behaviors in any way, because that's the last thing that I ever wanted to do. And if I'm an example to you, just know that a lot of the things I did around food and exercise were not healthy and they were not right, and I'm not an example at this point, and I'm trying so hard to become one, but I'm not right now. So just know that, and know that I'm truly sorry, and I really, really want to make up for any damage that I have done by sharing my story with mental illness and recovery. So bear with me, I'm gonna be better. But anyways, those were the reasons why I didn't want to share, and now I am sharing, and that is for a few reasons as well, because I like to make lists. Okay, so one of the major things that was a motivation for me sharing this with everyone, despite all of my fear, shame, anxiety, etc., surrounding telling the world about this and my mental illness, I really want to help to normalize mental illness and especially eating disorders, as well as pursuing recovery as the number one priority, because eating disorders are incredibly prevalent, especially in the running community, and I just don't feel like there's enough being done about them. Like, coaches will be like, eat enough food, but they don't want to get in the nitty gritty or actually do enough to help the problem. Like, someone that has an eating disorder knows that they're not eating enough food, and telling them to eat enough food does literally nothing. I think that it should be normal for athletes to be screened for eating disorders and encouraged, or even honestly forced to pursue treatment to be able to compete on the team, because like long-term health and like living a full life is more important than a season. Like, I'm not gonna lie, when Brooks told me that I needed to go to treatment or get dropped, I was not happy, and I was really apprehensive about sacrificing this season and feeling like I wasn't prioritizing my training enough. But I'm honestly thankful that I'm here, because if they hadn't forced me to come, I never would have, because I'm never going to think that there's a good time. And like, maybe this season isn't going to be ideal for me, and like, I'm definitely prioritizing treatment as my number one right now, but I'm hoping that that's going to pay off in the long run, and it's going to give me a lot more seasons than I would have had without that. And I think that targeting this problem earlier, like when people are in high school or college, is really important and should be more normal. Like, the reality and the prevalence of eating disorders right now in the running community is just not okay. It's sad, and it shouldn't be okay. So I just want to say that prioritizing recovery over your training does not mean that you aren't dedicated to running. I still love running as much as I ever have, maybe more, but I know that my recovery is important, and that right now has to be the priority, or it's just not going to happen. So my second reason for sharing is because I really want to be authentic. The other day in treatment, I was going over what my core values are, and one of my highest values was authenticity. I really, really, really value showing my true personality and who I am authentically on social media and in person. And like the other day, well, last Friday, I was making a workout video, and afterwards I was crying. I was a mess. I was just a wreck. I mean, that is really normal nowadays. I've had to accept that I'm a crier. I've been, subduing my emotions for over a decade now, and apparently I have a lot of them, and they're uncomfortable, and I hate them, but they're there, and I will accept them. Look at me growing. But anyways, it wasn't great, and I was like, okay, I gotta like delete this clip. I've got to take a new one. I can't be bawling during my workout video. And then I was like, Allie, what the like, why are you gonna get rid of this video of you just because it clearly shows that you're not in a good place right now? Like, if you're only ever going to show videos of you happy and smiling and having good workouts, that's really inauthentic. And just because you're crying or upset is not a reason to not post a video. In fact, maybe that's a reason to post a video, because it normalizes having bad days and being sad and having mental health issues, and all of which are common and okay, but aren't seen as such and are something that no one portrays on social media. And so I was just like, you know what? You need to actually be authentic and show what's truly going on, and stop putting on this facade that you're just in Colorado doing some altitude training, because that's not what's going on at all. And I just felt super shady about it, and I kind of hated it, so I decided to share. And my third and final reason for sharing is that I really want to be the example that I needed when I was younger. Like, maybe if I had seen this story when I was 12 or 11, when all this was starting, maybe it would have kept me from being in the position that I'm in today. And right now, as I'm going through this, I feel like I'm the first person that has, and I know that that is not true, but there just aren't enough examples of elite athletes that have gone through intensive eating disorder recovery. And the ones that do share their story, which, I mean, props, it's brave to share your story at any point, and also whatever point in their journey they share their story at, that's valid, that's up to them, and whatever is beneficial for their recovery. But it's always afterwards, when everything's sunny and golden, you've come out the other side. And right now, I'm in this shit. I am sitting in it, and it's shitty. And it shits. And I don't know what other people were feeling at this point, because I've only heard the success stories. So I want to share this right now, when I'm literally in the shit. And I don't know what's going to happen. I have a ton of uncertainty, and I'm trusting other people, and it's uncomfortable for me, but I'm doing it. And I just want to share that with everyone and say, it's happening, and it's possible, and I'm going to continue to, show my journey and the ups and the downs, and what it's authentically like to try to recover from a long-term eating disorder. Because if it can even help one person, that's worth it to me. Because if I had been that one person, my life would be so different. So I just want to say that no matter where you're at or how uncertain you feel about recovery and whether it's worth it or whether you can do it, I'm with you. I'm not sure about it either, but I think it's important. And there's always going to be a reason to not do it. For me, it was the Olympic trials. For someone, it could be a school year or a wedding or something. There's always going to be a reason not to do it. But you're not really fully living your life until you recover from your eating disorder, because your eating disorder is living your life. They're in control. So if you have doubts about your relationship with food, talk to a medical professional. See if treatment is a good idea for you, and just try to tackle it as soon as you can, because the longer it goes on, the harder it gets. And we could be in it together, and it's so fun. No, it's not fun. I'm not going to put that idea in your head. It's really difficult and sucky, but could really pay off in the long term. So I'm just banking on that. I'm really not a gambling person, but right now I'm gambling on some medical professionals and, you know, a group of support people that this is going to be worth it for me, and I'm going to come out better for it. So to conclude, that's all for now, folks. Yeah, not really. I didn't have much to say, just a small life update. So not much happened here. Oh, and also I forgot to say this, but I plan on being open from here on out. So if anyone has questions or ideas for videos they want about recovery, please comment below and I'll try to fulfill those wishes.